Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. For those of you that don't know me very well, I'm a plane buff. Now, I'm not so obsessive as I once was, but at the same token, I like to keep up on the latest news in aircraft development. There's two reasons for this. First of all, it lets me know that if a UFO crashed at Roswell, they haven't reverse engineered any of the technologies in it because so far no plane has incorporated anti-gravity, advanced physics, or any other such thing. There's still big rockets that go really fast and do, really cool maneuvers. They don't do the 360 in midair kind of thing. The other thing it tells me is about policy. Now, the new B-21, which is scheduled to start flying in 2023, that's just a prototype at the present time. But miraculously, so far they're saying it came in on time and on budget. For that, I have to say, good job. Good job. I think that's the first defense program ever that has come on budget and on time. Because originally they were planning for this thing to fly in 2025. Then they were saying this year, now they're saying 2023. No matter. But the curious thing is the language being used in the B-21. See, the B-2 was always designed to defeat the Soviet Union, which it was around at the time, and other aggressors. The F-22 is technically a plane without a mission because it was designed to defeat the Soviet Union, which no longer existed when it started production. The F-35 is a jack of all trades, which was inexpensive for use by all nations. But the B-21 is specifically being said it can target China. Yeah, that's a peculiar thing for two supposed trading partners and people who do not have a currently antagonistic relationship. But Russia wasn't mentioned, despite the fact that Russia is currently threatening NATO and by extension and by treaty, the United States and Canada. The B-21 is specifically being designed to beat China. Now, China has a very good aerospace industry. It's third in the world. Russia still builds slightly better equipment because Russia's been doing it for longer and they didn't go through the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s when they killed off all their intellectuals. They also don't have an apprenticeship program, which is peculiar. The reason it's peculiar is, basically having an apprentice program lets you know, or passes on the knowledge. That's why they kept the space shuttle going for so long, is they were passing on the knowledge of how to build rockets and boosters so that new generations could learn from the old masters. And China doesn't really have one, which probably explains why they're having such difficulty building new jet engines. They've been reliant on the Russians for so long that they just don't have the engineering expertise. Are Chinese people dumb? Hell no. Absolutely not. China makes some fantastic products, and they're going to continue to be a manufacturing presence for quite some time. But they lack that apprenticeship program. And from my experience, I've dated a couple Chinese girls over the years, and when they were in China, they were pretty much told, okay, this is your career path, and you cannot deviate outside of it. My favorite of the ones that I dated was told in China she could be a school teacher. That was it. She would never be a vice principal. She'd never be on the teacher's council. She would never be on any of that. She would be a teacher. And she wanted to have a little bit more of a career path than that. She's currently a nurse and a very good one. But that's the reality of life in China. We hear about the Apple factories and other factories where they have to install suicide nets to prevent workers from jumping to their death because they're being told you're an assembly line worker. You're never going to be a supervisor. You're never going to be a foreman. You will always be putting screw A into slot B for the rest of your life. And for that, you'll be getting 25 cents an hour, whatever it is. Yeah. I still find it funny that people are willing to pay such outrageous prices for iPhones when they're being manufactured for $1 or $2. But here's a trading partner that we do an outstanding amount of business with both ways. Canada sells petroleum products to China. That doesn't just mean gas for their cars. It's also asphalt. It's plastics. It's all sorts of things that go over there. The United States has tons of things that they sell over there. I didn't go through it before this. So, while you're trading with the enemy, you're building a bomber to end them. Because remember, the B-21 is a nuclear bomber. It will have a conventional role because all bombers eventually get a conventional role, but the B-21, they're going to have 100 of them eventually. They're going to retire the B-1 and the B-2 and keep the B-52s going because they just spent a lot of money upgrading their engines. B-52s are not being said they can make it to China. They're a bomb truck. You load it up, you send it over a low threat, and they drop their bombs and go home. The B-21 is designed for those Top Gun Maverick-style missions where you're trying to infiltrate enemy airspace and do all this kamikaze stuff. That's what the B-21 is designed to do, except it's highly stealth capable and it's going to be outfitted with whatever new jamming technologies come out over the years. Hopefully they've built it modular so they don't need to come up with the B-22 in a couple years. Because bombers are not cheap. They're quite expensive. And again, this is why I'm troubled that in the US defense industry, they're so focused on China, especially with the current threat in Ukraine. You would think that would register that, hey, maybe there's two possible threats. And Russia and China are renewing their relationships because at the present time, it's a heck of a lot easier for Russia to trade with China, with whom they share a border and there will be no international sanctions against, than it is for them to trade with, say, Europe, who has to maintain the pretense of maintaining those sanctions. Now, China has been making noise over Taiwan, yes, but officially, the US really doesn't care about Taiwan. And it would be really difficult for the United States to successfully stage a defense of Taiwan. That's why Taiwan is out buying new weapons. They're not buying bombers, they're buying fighters. It's also a strange choice because China's number one ally, henchman, and general all-around mustache-twirling bad guy is North Korea. Oh yeah, remember those guys? The guys who have wisely kept quiet after the pandemic? Yeah, they're still around. Kim Il-jung or Kim Il-sung or whoever the current leader there is, supposedly went through a health scare. But when he came back, he's being very quiet. But sooner or later, he's going to fire a missile off in Japan's general area to freak out US defense radars and Japanese defense radars. He'll test an underground nuke or something similar, whatever he has that approximates the effect of an underground nuke, because it's something they do every few years, because every time they do, the United States comes in and pays them money because they know a war between Korea and North Korea is going to result in a war against China. The funny thing is, North Korea, the puppet state, I'm going to call it that because China basically tells it, okay, today you're doing this, tomorrow you're doing this, thank you very much, come again. That's kind of North Korea's existence. They do have autonomy, they do have the ability to do what they want, but if they know what's good for them, they're going to listen to their big brother China. Because just like in 1950, China is able to have millions of men pour across that border in their defense at a moment's notice. But the rhetoric is China's threatening Taiwan. Again, this rhetoric makes zero sense to me. Go back and watch the clips from 1944 on D-Day when they stormed the Normandy beaches. It's really hard to launch an amphibious invasion. We think in the modern day we can just parachute troops in. No, on D-Day they parachuted troops in as well, and while it wasn't a slaughter, it certainly was not a fun time for those involved. Go look at a globe, go look at a map, and you can see how much further Taiwan is than the beaches of Normandy were. Landing technology has improved, it has, but not appreciably so. And China is not making a huge push to manufacture landing vehicles. They are manufacturing them, but not in the numbers that they would need. And, I mean, sending men across the Strait of Taiwan, that's best possible scenario. You build yourself some hovercrafts and, you're getting them across really quick. Those men are still going to be seasick when they get off to the Taiwanese shore. And that does have an effect. Anyone who's had a little bit of seasickness, I have twice in my life, knows you do not feel like jumping out, swimming onto the beaches and going from there. It's just not how the human body works. So China is making these threats. The United States is countering them simply by saying, here's our new bomber. It's ready to come to your front door and knock. Something wicked this way comes. I said it before, I'll say it again. The next 12 to 36 months are really, really going to show the world what's happening. I can only hope that those next 12 to 36 months are peaceful, hopeful, and give us some things to look forward to. But anyways, we wish to thank you for joining us for today's episode. If you liked it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to buy one of the books in the link down below. It really helps the channel out. And we hope you have a fantastic day.